Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our reactions to the podcast Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe? Part 2 of House of Dracula. The Dark Universe crossover continues. Okay, let's get started. Now I'm just going to obviously we will be taking a break eventually. But anyway, back to the 1 second podcast.
Previously on Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe?
We left our heroes at the lowest point. The mummy Nick Morton has not only failed to acquire a powerful weapon against Dracula, the Crook of Osiris, but he's also allowed his friend Chris Vale to be killed by the monster Victor Frankenstein, and the Invisible Man Jack Griffin to be captured by vampires. Werewolves Gwen and Larry have torn up an impoverished neighborhood while in their mindless animal forms, and Carol Lemley has narrowly escaped being eaten alive by Mr. Hyde. Meanwhile, the fate of famous monster hunter Van Helsing remains unknown, and he may be the team's last hope of defeating Count Dracula.
Witness the thrilling conclusion of The Dark Legion, House of Dracula.
In 2017, Universal Studios announced the birth of a new shared universe of monster movies, bringing their classic horror icons into the contemporary franchise film landscape. But after the critical and financial failure of its first installment, the project was indefinitely abandoned. Now, in 2022, the powers that be have called upon one pulp horror devotee and one snarky film critic to unearth the concept. I'm Dylan Roth.
And I'm Dalton DeShane.
Are you afraid of the Dark Universe?
Hello and welcome back to Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe, our Phase 1 finale. We have made it, Dylan.
We did. Gosh, what a ride. We still have about 90 minutes to record.
Yes.
It's
We're
been a
doing
long
this the
road.
same night as the previous episode.
It's been a long road getting from there to here.
Can you believe that we once thought we were going to do the planning and this episode in the same night?
Maybe the most foolish thought we've had in the process of doing this entire thing.
Of course, back then we didn't think we would be writing a full screenplay in 2 weeks, but
yeah, that's true. But I gotta tell you, I'm sort of infamous among my friends for like these ambitious project ideas that never happen because they're too ambitious, or I don't have the attention span for it, or it's just beyond my skills. And I am really proud that while we are excited to move on to phase 2 and we want to keep going through this whole Infinity Saga, just the fact that we've gotten here with the amount that we've created in a very limited time, like we wrote this feature-length screenplay in 14 days. And obviously it's still a scriptment, right? Like there are scenes we summarize, but I'm very proud of our work.
I am too. I'm known among my friends as having a lot of very in-depth ideas, and then unfortunately committing 100% to them to the detriment of my relationships and mental health.
Well,
and here's another one.
Well, the thing is that this maybe is part of what makes us a good team. Although also, I also don't want to ruin your life.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
They're fine, folks.
I'm fine. The Honda days are coming up. I'm fine. If you don't know what that is, that's going to be a baffling line.
But they're still coming, I think, at this point. When this airs, you should talk about the Honda days.
I actually don't know if that's true. But
all right, we won't waste time with it then.
But yeah, it is crazy that like we went into this, we recorded our first episode literally having no ideas for what our movies or anything would look like. And now we are here with a bunch of characters we created. And a couple that we didn't, but we did reinvent
them. Yeah, because we started with The Mummy and that movie's not good.
Yeah, I mean, you can listen to our first episode. We really didn't want to keep like anything from it.
And now I'm excited about all of these characters.
Yeah.
And I think that...
Although I don't know if all of them will survive.
That's true. This is a horror movie. So where we left off was at sort of the midpoint of our big Avengers crossover. We should say that if this is your first episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark Universe, you should go back and listen to at least the previous episode, which is the first half of our big crossover movie, The Dark Legion Castle.
You're currently
House of Dracula.
Yeah, you're currently walking into the movie halfway through, quite literally.
Any other episode, you can just kind of jump in, but this time you really do have to do these two together.
Yeah, so if this is your first one, pause right now, go back to the previous one on the feed. If you want to be go nuts with it, you can listen to our whole phase 1 slate, which we have out there right now.
It does rock.
But at least listen to the one before this, or you are probably going to be very lost. But basically, where we're going to pick up is we are going to have sort of our last moment of quiet before we just put the gas pedal down, and we're going to finish up Act 2 here. We're sort of halfway through Act 2 with a section that I wrote, which is sort of because Dylan did sort of the HQ character work in the first act. We're going to flip that over to me now in the second act. And then Dylan's got another action set piece for us that will round out our Act 2. And then we'll take another break to talk. And then we'll go into the big climax.
Yeah, where Dalton put together our whole third act. And it's, I think, pretty rad. I'm allowed to say that because I didn't write most of it.
We're talking about how proud we are of ourselves. We're going to keep patting ourselves on the back because not only neither of us are really screenwriters. I mean, you've written screenplays. I haven't written any.
I've written parts of screenplays. I have the first draft of like 15 movies. Sorry, the first act of like 15 movies.
But we had to write a franchise crossover event, not just a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had to write movies for previous episodes, but we had to balance. We had to do like the fucking Infinity War thing of like, we had to balance like 13 characters, give them all arcs, make them intersect, give them a plot to bounce off of, and make it all wrap up in the end. And I guess it's up to you, the listener, to think if we were successful at that. But I think we were.
I think we did a good job. I mean, we had to do it in 2 weeks, and we both have jobs.
That's true. Yeah.
It's getting to tag back and forth with you and like leaving our comments on the Google Doc and going back and forth like, oh, how about this? Or that's not working, or getting to punch up each other's like dialogue in little moments. It's just like, I don't know. It's been really exciting, and I can't wait to do it all over again.
We've got a long way till phase 2 climax. I mean, not that long, but
no,
we're gonna have to do this again next year. All right, should we get into the rest of Act 2?
Let's do it.
Larry groggily wakes up in his and Gwen's bed back at base. Jenny Halsey sits over him, checking his blood pressure and pulse and wiping sweat from his brow with a cloth.
Mom?
He opens his eyes and sees where he is and sits up, pushing Halsey away.
How'd I get back here? Where's my mom? Gwen, what's going on?
Gwen sits nearby, clutching a robe around her, unable to look at Larry. Halsey answers instead.
There was an incident.
Oh my God, Gwen, did someone turn you? Who?
Well, we believe it was your mother, Larry.
What? Wait a minute.
He looks down and sees he's wearing a similar robe.
Did I change too?
I'm sorry, Larry, but there was no other way.
Did you do this to me?
Your mother turned Gwen and she was hurting people in the camp. She would have killed me if I hadn't...
Stop. I'm sick of this bullshit. I need to get out of here. I need to find my mom.
I hurt people, Larry. A lot of people.
Larry takes a second, then replies.
Still enjoying your superpowers, Wolfman?
Gwen cringes and a tear falls down her face. Just then, Carol comes rushing in.
Jenny!
They stand and embrace tightly.
Carol, oh my God, are you okay? What happened?
Oh, nothing major. Just had my first hide incident. It was like a big cannibalistic hazing ritual.
I can't believe you survived him. You were incredible.
Jekyll's voice cuts in on the intercom.
Everyone to the bridge. Mr. Morton has returned.
Oh, thank God.
Halsey rushes out of the room.
Jenny, wait, it's not...
Jenny and Carol walk into their main HQ meeting space, with Gwen following behind, looking hollow, and Larry even farther back. Jekyll sits there already, looking shell-shocked himself. The doors open, and Nick Morton walks in alone.
Nick! Jack! Wait, where's Vale?
Nick is silent.
Jack isn't here. He was taken by Dracula's men. And Vale is dead.
Well, do you have the body? We can just revive him, right?
No, Jenny, I can't just revive him. You think I didn't try that already? I thought I could fix everything. I thought no matter what happened, we would all be safe because I'm magic now, right? That's supposed to be the upside to this fucking curse, right? But Dracula, he turned me and there wasn't enough left to bring back. All is quiet for a moment before Larry pipes up.
Did you get the artifact?
It appears it had already been taken.
The futility of the mission sinks in. Nick can't raise his head to look at anyone.
Well, We have to go get Jack, right?
No. We wait for Van Helsing. If the artifact is gone, it means he was able to get it before us, which means he's probably on his way to Dracula now.
Nicholas, we must consider the possibility that Van Helsing is probably already dead.
No. No, he isn't. He can't be because he's a fucking vampire hunter. This is what he does. This is his mission, not ours. I mean, look at us. Who are we? A couple of horny teens, some paranormal bookworms, a goddamn murderous schizophrenic, and a thief who is given the powers of a god and yet still can't seem to keep his only friend in the entire world alive no matter how many fucking chances I'm given. So what, now you want to storm Castle Dracula with a couple crucifixes and wooden stakes? When you already think Van Helsing failed at exactly that. Are you listening to yourself? Henry, let me be clear. If Van Helsing is dead, we're all fucked.
You could bring him back.
I don't think we can count on that anymore.
He's right. This is insane. What are we even doing here?
Okay, but honestly, now I've seen the Franklin Chiller Dracula film. Yes. On the off chance you haven't seen it, Dracula kills Van Helsing in the climax, and no, it's not over. He still ends up being beaten, so yeah, anyone familiar with how things go, and the very rare chance that Van Helsing does die isn't going to be fooled by this despair, we'll call it.
Here, nobody here's a warrior. We're just a bunch of fucked up assholes with monsters inside of us we can't control. Well, not Carol and Jenny, I guess, but how would we be able to take down an army of vampires when at any moment our inner beast could come out and get us killed?
That's precisely why it must be us, Lawrence. You forget, we're not the only ones with darkness inside us. Dracula is infected with a version of the same evil, and I think it terrifies him. It's made him a recluse, hiding in his castle, letting his minions do the work for him. He's afraid of what will happen to him when he dies. We will win because we are the ones willing to face death's door for victory.
Speak for yourself.
But he doesn't leave. No one does. Carol looks at Nick.
So what's our next move?
Why are you asking me? I'm not in charge. Ask him. Everyone's eyes shift to Jekyll. He looks like he doesn't want the responsibility either.
Well, yes. Let's review the facts, shall we?
Jekyll reveals that the artifact they were looking for in the tomb was the Crook of Osiris. Osiris was a god of many things in Egyptian lore, among them the afterlife, life, and resurrection. He was the brother of Set, the god of disorder and violence, the same god who now infects Nick with his darkness. Set murdered his brother Osiris and cut his body into pieces. It makes sense that if Dracula's curse also traces back to Set, then Osiris's artifacts may prove to be a powerful weapon against him. Carol chimes in.
Wouldn't it potentially work the other way too? Like if Dracula obtained the Crook, then he would be the one with the power over life and resurrection. You said it yourself, he's afraid of death. I mean, we talk all the time about how vampires are immortal, but that's not true at all, right? There's a million ways to kill them. Stakes through the heart, sunlight, crucifixes, holy water.
Quicksilver.
Exactly. So you're Dracula. You've been given all these creepy powers, but everyone in the world wants to kill you and has a bunch of ways to do it. But if he gains Set and Osiris's powers, then he wins, right? He controls all life and death in the world, including his own.
And ours. He would be a god.
So either Van Helsing has the Crook and we're saved, or Dracula has it and it's already over.
But then why would he need Jack?
When vampires drink Jack's blood, they turn invisible for as long as it takes to digest it. Even sunlight passes right through them. They can daywalk.
Right. But why take him at all if he's already won?
Halsey chimes in. The Crook is not the full weapon. It's half of a pair, along with the flail of Osiris. Together, they form a single weapon called the Eyes of Osiris. Why wouldn't Van Helsing know that this flail exists?
Well, its existence has been hidden for hundreds of years, all mentions of it erased from the historical record.
Then how do you know about it?
Because Prodigium has it. They've been guarding it for centuries.
Now Jack's kidnapping makes sense. The vampires must be planning a raid on the Prodigium compound so Dracula can obtain the flail. They have no way of warning Prodigium ahead of time. Indrid Cold no longer takes Jekyll or Halsey's calls, so the team will have to hurry if they're going to stop them. Our heroes have an edge that Prodigium's forces don't. They know the attack is coming, and they know what form it'll take. Halsey explains that there's also a special Coptic incantation required to access the full power of the combined Eyes of Osiris, and the last remaining record of it is stored in an isolated computer databank at the base. Someone on the team will have to locate and copy it.
There's another complication. I believe Larry's mother is a vampire.
What?
I saw her when she turned Gwen. She turned into a bat and flew off. We can't rule out the possibility of her working with Dracula.
No, that's not possible. That's not...
He trails off, remembering their odd conversation in the car, how his mother already knew about Dracula somehow.
Unfortunately, this will just have to be a bridge we have to burn when we get to it. Larry, if you'd like to be excused from the mission, we'll all understand.
No, I'm good.
Jekyll nods. There's no time to waste. They leave immediately. We're back in the dungeon at Castle Dracula that we saw in the opening scene of the film. Bodies are strung up everywhere, eviscerated and pouring blood into vats. Some tubes run out of those vats and feed into a large blood bag, a blood bag which in turn feeds into the arm of Jack Griffin. Jack is pinned down on a stone slab, naked, invisible, and screaming to no one for help. Dracula enters, flanked by a mass of vampires.
Dr. Griffin, so good of you to finally join us.
Stay away from me, Draculas.
The Dracula, actually. Count Dracula, if you'll oblige me.
Jack begs for his life, saying he's just a food chemist, not a vampire hunter. Dracula explains that his body is very important to them because it allows his children to pass invisibly through the sunlight.
Rest assured, Dr. Griffin, you have a long, long life ahead of you. Tomorrow, you will assume your new role as a blood launderer, providing us with an endless repository of invisibility serum. For now, however, our needs are a bit more immediate and require an immediate solution.
The vampires flank Jack, including Dudley Hall.
Hiya, Dr. Jack. So nice to be on the same team again.
The vampires close in and all bite him at once, puncturing his invisible body all over with dripping wounds. He screams in horrible agony. Dracula leaves the chamber where Jack is being drained and enters another, where Victor Frankenstein awaits him.
You did well, Victor.
I killed. For the first time since my bride restored my soul to me, I killed a man.
Yes, and you'll kill many more, if that's what it takes to see her again. Will you not?
Yes, Count Dracula.
Dracula walks on to attend to other business. Frankenstein winces slightly at the sound of Jack's painful screams from the next room.
In contrast to the abandoned site where our heroes have set up shop, Prodigium's new Transylvania outpost is state-of-the-art. It's clean, high-tech, and well-guarded. At the heart of the base is a vault made specifically to keep out the local pests, vampires. In addition to being guarded around the clock, the vault is lit by miniature artificial sun, which should reduce any vampire to ash in mere seconds. Today, the vault's guards are in for a surprise. On a patrol through the outpost corridors, one of the armed guards crosses paths with one of his comrades who's standing against a wall. The first guard greets the other casually and passes him by. Then, perturbed by his counterpart's lack of response, he turns back to look at him, only to see that the soldier in question is standing strangely. His weight is distributed all wrong, as if he's being held up on hooks. Blood begins to trickle from 2 small puncture wounds in his neck. The first soldier cries out to sound the alarm, but is quickly silenced when his throat is slit by an invisible claw. The second guard's pale, exsanguinated body falls lifeless to the ground. The vault goes into red alert, and a dozen guards load Quicksilver-infused bullets into their rifles. Their sights are trained on the vault door, which slides open, revealing nothing. No one blinks, waiting for their foes to show themselves. One of the guards suddenly clutches at his throat and rises into the air. His neck snaps, and he crumbles. All the other guards train their sights on him, but it's too late. One by one, the guards are massacred by forces who can only be seen where they've been splattered by their victim's blood. One guard has his throat ripped out, another's heart is pushed through her back. Shots are fired, but only one manages to hit anything, and a single naked vampire becomes briefly visible before the light of the artificial sun incinerates him. A new figure enters the vault, a blood-soaked chest accompanied by a floating human hand that's been torn from the body of a Prodigium agent bleeding out in the hallway. The hand presses against a scanner and a drawer opens, containing an arcane leather flail with an ornament of an eye on the hilt. We hear Dudley's voice.
Hello, gorgeous.
The floating stains and flecks of red amble back through the outpost corridors, stepping over or occasionally kicking the corpses of Prodigium soldiers along the way. Dudley leads, holding the flail of Osiris in his less bloody hand. They turn a corner and are likely startled to see Nick Morton standing on the other end of the next hallway.
Wow, Dudley, you've never looked better.
You gotta be kidding me with this. You're not the smartest cookie, are you?
No. I was the kid who would do anything to avoid a math test. You know, one time I even pulled the fire alarm.
On cue, water begins to spray from the sprinklers in the ceiling. Droplets bounce off the heads and shoulders of 8 transparent figures, now made into hollow spaces in the artificial rain. Behind Nick, Halsey steps out from around the corner holding a long silver knife. Nick nods at someone on the opposite end, just visible through the bizarre humanoid waterfalls between them. It's Gwen. The monster hunters charge at the hollow vampires from either side, and a brawl ensues. Nick grapples with Dudley over the flail. Gwen puts her boxing training to work, bobbing and weaving to avoid strikes that she isn't seeing, but predicting. Halsey slashes at her invisible foes, and the top of her blade disappears into a vampire's chin. Over the course of the fight, the vampires are gradually becoming visible again from the inside out, a consequence of their metabolizing Jack's blood faster from effort, as well as from their own blood loss. Meanwhile, Jekyll, Larry, and Carol are on a parallel mission, searching Prodigium's secure server for the incantation. Larry stands guard with his werewolf-enhanced senses, while Jekyll and Carol dig through the records. They're in luck. Jekyll identifies the correct archive, and Carol uses her tech savvy, which, in truth, is only slightly above average for someone born in the 80s, but still a lot better than Jekyll's, and makes a copy of the data onto a thumb drive. They're going to make their escape when Larry hears a set of fast, loud footsteps. Faster than he can react, a sprinting invisible vampire spear tackles Larry. He falls away from the door to the server room, where Jekyll and Carol are attacked by a second invisible assailant, who seals the door shut behind him. Jekyll is knocked down and bangs his head against the corner of a standing desk. Out in the hall, Larry is occupied with his attacker. He knocks him away long enough to try the door latch, but it won't budge, even under his strength. Carol pulls a quicksilver-infused stake from her belt and takes a few swings at the vampire, but it's hard to stake someone whose chest you can't see. Carol takes a kick to the stomach and then a knee to the head as she doubles over. She collapses unconscious and drops her stake, which rolls towards Henry. Henry, still dazed after his contusion, reaches for it, but an invisible heel crunches against his gloved hand, the one he uses to inject his serum. We see Henry struggling not just against the weight of his foe, but against the fury of the one inside him. Through the wide window into the server room, Larry sees Henry struggling. In the midst of his own fight, he cries out,
Jekyll, you gotta let Hyde out. Save yourself.
I can't. He'll be locked in with Carol. He'll kill her the first chance he gets. Back at the hallway fight, Nick and the team have overheard all of this over the comlink. Halsey shakes an opponent off her back and looks up at a similarly occupied Nick. Nick nods. Halsey breaks into a sprint down the corridor. As Jekyll continues to wrestle the invisible vampire, his body fluctuates slightly. Hair on his bare hand extends and retracts. His irises spool and unspool in different colors. Outside, Larry manages to get a hold of both of his vampire foe's arms and, with a furious howl, rips them off his torso, which becomes visible as Jack's stolen blood leaves his body. After a breath, Larry starts pounding on the server room door, but it won't budge. Jekyll's assailant gets a hold of Carol's silver stake and tries to stab a supine Jekyll through the chest. Jekyll braces against the blow with one arm, barely keeping the point of the stake from his heart. Jekyll sees the hair growing coarse on the back of his hand, his nearsightedness appearing and disappearing. He turns his eyes towards Carol, then Larry in the window. His head shakes violently and his eyes change again.
Don't you dare, Henry! I'm not finished with you yet!
Jekyll snaps back to himself. I think we've both overstayed our welcome, Edward. Jekyll's arm goes limp, and he lets the full weight of the vampire press the stake into his heart.
No!
The light begins to leave Henry's eyes, just as they return to their natural brown. He's dead. Inside the room, we hear the labored breathing of Jekyll's killer, exhausted. His invisibility is wearing off, metabolized during the struggle. A skeleton with sharp cuspids slowly rises.
Yeah. Sort of suicide, not entirely.
Its empty eye sockets meeting Larry's through the window. As his flesh rematerializes layer by layer, he slowly steps towards Carol, who is barely conscious on the floor. He's toying with both of them. Larry is pounding at the window now. Still, no give. The vampire kneels down and grabs Carol by the hair and slowly lifts her neck near to his mouth. In the window, Larry roars, then looks behind him and dives out of the way. The door slides open, and before he can make a move, a thrown silver knife plunges into the vampire's head. In the doorway stands Halsey, her universal lockpick in one hand, the other extended from the throw. Halsey steps into the room, pulls the knife from the fallen vampire's forehead, and stabs it into his chest with purpose. Halsey embraces Carol, who's becoming more lucid.
My hero.
Carol uses what strength she's regained and pulls Halsey into a deep kiss. Back with Nick and Gwen, only 2 vampires are left standing, both part of the way visible now. Nick grabs one, the one who isn't Dudley, from behind, and Gwen decks him with an uppercut. Since his skeleton is visible, we see his jaw break. Gwen pulls a stake from her belt and stabs him. He collapses, visible, skin and all. Dudley is the last one left. Nick still can't fully see him, but he can see the flail, so he grabs for it. He gets Dudley's wrist instead. Even better, he wrenches it hard and Dudley drops the flail into Nick's other hand. Dudley falls, looks around at the bodies littering the floor, up at Nick and Gwen, and then books it towards the exit. Nick runs after him, grabbing a handgun from a fallen Prodigium soldier as he goes. He turns a corner and fires 3 rounds, but hits nothing. Dudley is gone. Larry walks into the server room and examines Jekyll. It's only now that Halsey notices his body. She helps Carol to her feet and stands over her fallen mentor. She kneels down beside him, takes his limp, gloved hand in hers. Nick and Gwen arrive, breathless from running. Halsey looks up at Nick, silently asking a question to which she already knows the answer. Nick shakes his head, no.
That steak's infused with quicksilver. His blood's full of it by now. I can't... He's gone.
Once again, Nick is unable to use his power to save his friends, and we can see on his face that it kills him. Halsey passes her palms over Henry's eyes, closing them for good. Everyone takes a moment.
What now? As soon as Dudley tells Dracula what happened here, he's gonna send more vampires after the flail. Is there somewhere we can hide out?
Nick looks down at the body of his friend, Dr. Henry Jekyll, and the tearful eyes of Dr. Jennifer Halsey, who's just lost a friend. He examines the artifact in his hand.
No. No more hiding. We've got one half of the weapon, Van Helsing has the other. It's time to take the fight to Castle Dracula.
End of Act 2.
There we go. The Siege on Prodigium.
Oh, it's, I was excited to go back to this setting a little bit.
Well, and I think this is kind of the key action set piece in the movie. I mean, we're going to get to our climax set piece, but this, I feel like, is key for our franchise because it pays off so many things we've been setting up. Number one, we set up in The Invisible Man that vampires can turn invisible, but we only see that with one vampire.
Right, and we play it for laughs as much as anything else.
Exactly. It's kind of played as a goof with Nick Morton getting his ass kicked, but it sets up the promise of, we're going to see an army of invisible vampires.
And from the moment you introduce that idea, I know that you introduced that idea in The Invisible Man with the idea of paying it off here, but from the very beginning, I got the image of a invisible vampire massacre, going through a bunch of armed guards with completely no effort, immediately. So I wanted to do that. I was also surprised how excited I was to write about some details of how this fight would go and the different ways to kind of play with the idea.
Yeah.
I like the idea of doing a sort of Mortal Kombat fatality thing. Where you can X-ray thing where you get to see the bones crack. And I liked having Larry rip a vampire apart so that you only actually you see him grab hold of 2 things, you rip the arms off, and
you
then
just see the blood,
and then the body appears as it bleeds out.
See, my favorite moment is the vampire that turns visible and then immediately gets burned by the artificial sun. I think that's a very cool moment.
Thank you.
Yeah, and it also pays off a lot of our Prodigium stuff, right? Because we've worked really hard to get our characters out of Prodigium because we identified that as kind of a flaw in the Mummy. But I think this is an appropriate place to bring it back. I feel like we couldn't have done this without some sort of Prodigium involvement, given how prominent it's been in phase 1 so far.
There was a point where I also was trying to get Indrid Cold into this scene, but it didn't make sense. For one thing, too many characters.
Yeah.
For another, I wanted this to be, they couldn't go back to the London or New York base. This all has to stay in Romania or it's too much. But I did think it was we talked a couple times about how and where Jekyll would die. It's one of the first decisions that we made in the episode we planned the show that Jekyll was going to die on this one, you and I had a lot of conversations as I came up with a bunch of different, some kind of insane ways to kill Jekyll. And I'm glad that it ended up being here at
Makes sense for
Prodigium.
it to happen at Prodigium. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel a little bit of it's. If we did another draft of this, I definitely want to flesh it out and have a little bit more interaction between Jekyll and Halsey in this movie.
Yeah.
Because we're like, there's this moment that's kind of paying off their relationship that goes back to the Mummy, where they seem to have like kind of a pretty close mentor-mentee relationship that I haven't done anything with in any of the movies that I've written these characters for.
Yeah, that would be good
guess
to
a little
insert a scene with
Jekyll
them,
and in Jekyll Hyde, I use it some.
Yeah.
But I don't use any of it here. So probably want to throw that in there. But yeah, I don't know. It was fun to write the action sequence and then basically get to set everything up so you get to write the Siege of Castle Dracula.
Yeah, we had to shuffle things around a little bit because initially the plan was that I was going to write the Siege on Prodigium, and then I realized like, oh, then I'm writing like the entire back half of the movie. And so we switched things up, and I'm glad we did because I think you had a lot to, especially because you spent more time with Prodigium than I did and with Jekyll. And so it kind of felt like he's your character and you should be the one to kill him off.
I would have been bummed if I didn't get to be the one to kill Jekyll. I used him in both of my Phase 1 movies, and I wrote the Jekyll movie. So yeah, and then I get to put everything in position for it. It sort of makes it a little bit easier sometimes when like I know what you have to start at in Act 3.
Yeah.
Right. So I only have to I have to put the puzzle pieces in the right way. In the meantime, I get to have fun and write a bunch of gnarly deaths.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready to jump into Act 3?
You know what? We should take a break first because I don't want to take a break in the middle of Act 3. I think we should ride it out straight to the end. When we come back, the climax of Phase 1 of the Dark Universe.
It's all been coming to this.
It all comes down to this moment. The Siege on Castle Dracula. We'll be right back.
Attention! On your feet, you maggots! We're the Film Majors, the only podcast about movies other than the one you're listening to right now.
On our show, we discuss big topics such as what makes a good In Your Walls movie, who our favorite on-screen toxic men are, and what's going on, our super famous film news segment.
We're working professionals in the film industry, getting in the trenches every Friday with a different movie, armed with nothing but grit, wit, and 3 BAs in cinema studies. Popcorn is our ammunition.
The couch is our foxhole.
And the cinema is our house of worship.
Find us wherever you listen to your podcast.
Now let me see your war face! Ah!
Act 3. With the flail in their possession, Nick, Halsey, Gwen, Larry, and Carol race to Castle Dracula in their van. Okay, when we get there, we should expect a fight. Dracula isn't going to want us getting anywhere near him, especially with the flail. Carol's got the least fighting experience, so she'll stay with Halsey. The Cross of Carmilla should provide her a bubble of protection from your standard vamps. Everyone else, deck yourselves out now with crucifixes and garlic. Halsey gives Carol the cross, and everyone else throws on their clothes and crosses. Larry makes a face at the smell.
Aye, aye, Captain.
I'm not... Look, we just need to finish the mission. For Vale, for Henry. Our priorities are to find Van Helsing and save Jack. If you see Dracula, do not engage. Get as far away as possible until we have both the crook and flail on our side. Nick hands Halsey a small handgun. I nabbed this from the facility. There are 2 quicksilver bullets in it. The flail should protect me from Dracula's influence, but in case I lose it, 1 bullet for me, 1 for Dracula. If I don't turn, you'll have 2 shots at the count. Then, to everybody, all of Dracula's vampire cult can trace their lineage back to the Count himself, and they derive their power.
That's it. Break time, everyone. We'll be back in a bit. And we're back. Let's resume.
Power from him. When he dies, his entire army should collapse. Carol, once we find Jack, you're on evac duty. Use the cross to protect you both on your way back to the van. If we're not back by sunrise, leave without us. The mood is grim as they speed through the dark forest. Carol in particular looks terrified, being the only one without superpowers or monster hunting training, and having just barely survived 2 monster encounters. Halsey grabs her hand and squeezes it, and they share worried but loving looks. They park at the base of the hill leading to the castle, and we watch the last sliver of sun disappear under the horizon. They climb the hill on foot, Nick gripping the flail, everyone else double fisting wooden stakes. To their surprise, nobody greets them.
So much for expecting a fight.
Halsey, are you seeing anything?
Nothing. Looks like we're the only ones around for miles.
She's cut off by the sudden howling of wolves, what sounds like hundreds, coming from the woods all around them. Eyes up, everyone! A massive swarm of bats comes shrieking out of the trees, piercing their eardrums and blacking out the sky. But instead of swooping down to attack, they fly to the castle, perching on every inch of its roof and overhangs, twitching and watching the 5 of them approach. The team approaches the castle cautiously, but there's no attack. They enter swiftly and stand in the empty foyer. All is silent now. Gwen, Larry, you search upstairs. Halsey and Carol will come with me to check the dungeon. I have a feeling we're more likely to find them there.
How do you know there's a dungeon?
This is Castle Dracula. You really think there's not a dungeon? Nick, Carol, and Halsey start searching the rooms, scanning the walls for secret passageways as Gwen and Larry head up the grand entrance stairs.
Hey, I'm really sorry I was a dick earlier.
I don't exactly have the emotional capacity for this conversation right now.
I know. It just seems like, well, who knows? We might die in this house. And I just wanted to make sure I said sorry, just in case.
I'm sorry you got turned, and for also being a dick about you wanting a cure. I know this has been harder for you than it has for me, but you've still been with me every step of the way. I shouldn't be so hard on you.
Gwen cracks a smile.
Getting hard's your department anyway.
If we get out of here, I'm going to make out with you so hard.
I know. It's been like days since we fucked. This Dracula shit is a real buzzkill.
They walk slowly through the upstairs hallway, Gwen leading. Larry stops in his tracks as he hears a voice whisper in his ear.
Larry, my boy.
He looks to his left, into an open room, a study of some sort. His mother stands inside, cast in shadow.
Mom?
Gwen turns to see him walking into the room and shouts after him, but as soon as he enters, the door slams shut behind him. Gwen tries the door, but it's locked. She runs back down the hallway towards the stairs, yelling for Nick and Halsey to come quick. When she rounds the corner to the stairs, however, she comes face to face with Victor Frankenstein. Downstairs, Nick's crew has found the secret passageway and are descending into the dungeon. They arrive in the large room with the vats and see the tubes running into thin air, suspended over a stone slab. They rush over and begin undoing the clasps, and Jack begins to weep.
Please, you gotta get me out of here. I can't be here anymore. I can't. It hurts so bad.
We got you, Jack. We're gonna get you out right away. You're safe now. From out of thin air, a hovering sliver of sharp teeth materializes. It's Dudley, his body slowly becoming visible again as the effects of Jack's blood wear off. More smiles appear behind him. He's brought a crew.
Now, don't go making promises you can't keep, Mr. Morton. After all, you got a pretty bad record for keeping your teammates alive. And we're not done with this one yet.
He reaches for Jack's head, but Nick pulls on Jack's ankles, yanking him off the slab and onto the floor. Round 2 breaks out between the Vamps and Nick and Halsey. Carol rushes to Jack's side at the base of the slab, but it appears he's not there anymore. She cries out for him in the chaos. Upstairs, Larry stands in the study, pounding on the door and trying to get back out to Gwen.
Give it a rest for a moment, Larry. We need to talk. And take off those ridiculous clothes.
It's true. You're working with him, aren't you?
Yes. And I'm sorry, but you were never supposed to be involved. Now, there's nothing I can do to save your little friends, but if you come with me, I can get you out of here before he kills you or worse.
I'm not leaving them.
Suddenly, a scream is heard from outside the door. Larry turns and yells for Gwen, pulling at the door again. Outside, Gwen runs down the hallway as Frankenstein pounds after her.
Come here, girl.
She runs into a room and slams the door, but Frankenstein just pushes it off its hinges with a violent bang. They tussle, and it gets violent. Their strength is comparable, and they both get in some hits that would be deadly to anybody else. Frankenstein snaps her arm in two, and she fights one-handed until it heals itself. Gwen digs her fingers into a line of stitching across Victor's chest and pulls it open, unleashing a fountain of blood and pus and making Victor screech with pain. She grabs onto one of his arms and pulls, and is able to pull his entire forearm and hand clean off the bone, leaving just a skeleton hand coated in thick, unnatural blood. With his other hand, Victor cracks her across the skull, and her neck snaps to the side unnaturally, sending her crashing to the floor, paralyzed. Frankenstein staggers back against a piano, weakened. Larry hears the commotion through the wall in the next room.
I have to help her.
We're leaving right this instant, young man.
Sorry, Mom.
Larry runs to the window and opens it as his mother yells after him, climbing out onto the stone ledge and looking down at the spiked fence below. He begins inching his way along the ledge, and a cloud of bats descends on him from the roof. He tries fighting them off as we cut back to Victor and Gwen. Victor has recovered, while Gwen is still only able to twitch her extremities. She strains, willing her muscles back to life. Victor towers over her and approaches slowly.
Before I kill you, I must apologize. It brings me no pleasure. I thought I had left this part of me behind.
You're not a vampire. What are you?
I've been called many things. Monster, creature, thing, abortion. And those were just from my mother.
Yeah, well, welcome to the club.
Club?
Me and all my friends you're trying to kill. You think you're the only monster in the world? My boyfriend and I have to be chained up every month so we don't go on cannibalistic murder sprees. Nick has been cursed by some evil Egyptian god, and Jekyll was a good man with a brute trapped inside. But you don't see us teaming up with an ancient billionaire to murder innocents?
You don't understand. I had a love once. Only the Count can bring her back.
Okay, even if that's true, and with a sociopath like Dracula, that's a big if, let's just say he brings her back. What kind of man is she going to find? How will you explain what you've done? Will she still love you then?
Victor pauses, having never considered this.
I do not know. We only met once for the briefest of moments.
What? Bro, you are going about this all wrong. You cannot expect this woman to love you just for existing. You have to earn that love. And this is not the way to do it, my man.
What do you suggest?
I don't know. I don't know you at all. But I do know that loneliness you're feeling, like nobody cares what happens to you. But it doesn't have to be that way. Maybe none of us will ever be allowed back into normal society, but that doesn't mean we can't have some kind of community. If we stick together, then we won't need to beg for what we deserve from the self-serving bastards like Dracula. We can make it for ourselves. That's it. That's the pitch. How'd I do?
Larry comes crashing through the window.
Stay away from her!
He throws the weakened Victor back against the wall and comes to Gwen.
No, wait, he's...
Thank you for the assist, Victor. I'll take it from here.
Rita has materialized in the room, having flown in through the window. She shoves Larry aside.
Out of the way, Lawrence. I think it's time we got rid of this nasty distraction once and for all.
She advances on Gwen, showing her fangs. Gwen is still paralyzed on the ground.
Stake her, Larry. Please, you have to.
Larry pulls out a wooden stake and stands, cautiously approaching his mother.
Get back, Mom, or I'll...
You'll what? Murder your own mother? Go ahead, then, if you're so determined to play the hero.
She turns to Larry, presenting her chest as a target. He shakily raises the stake.
Do it! Please!
He can't. Rita pushes him down to the floor.
Good boy. Now stay there and obey your mother. I won't allow this dirty wolf girl to come between us anymore.
Gwen screams for Larry, but he's frozen on the ground, watching as his mother bends over his girlfriend and extends her fangs towards her neck. Just then, a skeleton hand covered in a thin layer of tendons and muscle tissue reaches out and grabs Rita by the scalp, lifting her up and away from Gwen.
That is no way for a mother to treat her child.
He puts his hand on her chest and pushes his fingers into her, grabbing her sternum in his fist and yanking. Her ribcage explodes out through her chest. He reaches in again to her open chest cavity and plucks out her heart, squishing it into goo and throwing it at Larry's feet.
Okay. Add that to the list of ways to kill vampires.
Back in the dungeon, the vampire battle rages on while Carol searches for Jack. She spots a trail of blood on the ground and follows it to a dark corner where she hears Jack sobbing.
Hey, Jack, it's okay. I'm going to get us out of here, okay? You just got to get to your feet and we'll go right now.
I can't. They're everywhere. I can't.
No, it's okay. I have this thing.
She pulls out the cross of Carmilla.
It's Quicksilver. It will protect us. Come on, we gotta go right now.
Jack looks into the fray and sees Dudley, now fully visible, still fighting and hollering.
Woo-hoo! Come on, boys. The blood tastes better after the hunt.
I'm sorry, I just literally imagined him on a... what are they called? Robotic bones, electric bones, mechanical bones. There we go. I just imagined him on a mechanical bone.
Not yet.
Jack lifts the cross off of Carol's neck, and we watch it levitate towards the fray. Dudley turns around and his smile falters just before Jack slashes the cross across his face, leaving a streak of flames. Dudley screams and Jack swipes again. Jack keeps swiping, not saying anything, a man broken and feral. He backs Dudley against the wall.
Hey now, Dr. Jack. You don't want to kill me. Think of all the times we had together. I mean, hell, you wouldn't even have met your new friends if it wasn't for me. Why don't we just agree to go our separate ways? What do you say?
Burn in hell.
Jack presses the cross into Dudley's flesh right over his heart. Dudley screams in agony, but Jack keeps pushing until it burns a hole straight through Dudley's chest to the wall behind him. Jack pulls his bloody fist out of the hole and Dudley slides down to the ground. All is quiet in the dungeon, the vampires defeated. Jack gives the cross back to Carol and collapses against her for support, exhausted. Before they leave, Nick asks if he knows where Van Helsing is. Jack points his bloody finger at a cage in the corner of the room, and Nick and Halsey run to check it out as Jack and Carol head back upstairs to the car. Nick gets to the cage first and looks inside. Inside are rotting chunks of Van Helsing and Mina, covered in buzzing flies and barely recognizable. No. Nick falls to his knees just as Gwen, Larry, and Victor arrive behind him. I can't do it. I can't bring him back. They're too... Look what he did to them. I can't... The group stands solemnly for a moment. Halsey puts her hand on Nick's shoulder.
It has to be you, Nick.
Nick stands, turning to face his friends, and then stepping back when he sees Victor among them.
Oh, no, it's cool. He's with us now.
I would like to help if I can.
Then, from the entrance of the chamber...
What's wrong, Mr. Morton? Did I not leave enough of Van Helsing for you to revive? I must apologize. Sometimes my appetite gets the better of me.
Dracula enters holding the crook, flanked by a black cloud of bats that begin materializing one by one into vampires until the dungeon is full of them. The two factions face each other, Dracula and his army, and Nick and his ragtag group of monsters. Our heroes are outnumbered 10-1. Halsey reaches for her Quicksilver gun, but Dracula extends his hand, controlling her and making her throw it across the room.
We won't be needing that, Dr. Halsey. On the contrary, I'd like to give you the opportunity to leave. Just hand me the flail and we can put this all behind us.
Nick steps forward, gripping the flail in front of him. And give you ultimate control over life and death for every creature on Earth?
I'm surprised you're being so obtuse about this, Mr. Morton. You've seen beyond the veil. You know that nothing but hell awaits us on the other side of the door. You, me, everybody. Now hand over the flail, let me save us all by sealing the door for good.
Not gonna happen. You're right. I've been through the door, and what I've seen terrifies me to my bones. In fact, the only thing that scares me more is the idea of you holding the keys.
So be it.
Dracula extends his hand, once again trying to gain control of Nick. At first he starts to submit, his body changing into the ancient, decrepit mummy from earlier. But he grits his teeth, narrows his eyes, and extends the flail in front of him, blocking Dracula's magic.
It appears that we're at a standstill. It's fitting that Osiris, the god of both life and the afterlife, will be split among us. Good thing I also have an army at my disposal.
The vampires snarl and prepare for the word from their master. So you do. But you know what else Osiris was a god of? Dracula's eyes narrow. The moon. Nick raises the flail in the air and magic pours out of it into the sky. Outside the castle, the sky is in chaos, the moon rising and setting and the stars circling the horizon as if an eternal night was playing.
Oh, how about that? They actually did their research on Osiris being a lunar god.
On fast forward. When the heavens finally slow, a bright yellow full moon hangs above the castle. In the dungeon, Larry and Gwen transform violently into their werewolf selves, their howls echoing through the dungeon. Dracula gives the signal and the vampire army charges forward. Gwen and Larry run into them, tearing their way through vampires left and right. Halsey follows and begins staking her way through the crowd, while Victor rips limbs and heads from every vamp in his path. Nick and Dracula march slowly through the fray towards each other, then engage in combat in the center of it all. They're evenly matched, using their powers and their artifacts to battle. Dracula can't turn into an animal, however, because he would lose his grip on the crook. At first, their attacks are magical in nature, colorful beams that whip out of the artifacts only to be absorbed by the other. Then, Nick extends his wrist and bandages flow out, wrapping around Dracula's arm and pulling him into Nick's fist. Dracula narrowly ducks under it and goes to bite Nick's neck, but Nick unhinges his jaw and breathes sand into Dracula's face, sending him reeling. Nearby, a group of vampires have swarmed Larry, climbing over his back and clawing at him, making him howl in pain. Gwen bounds over to help, tearing them off with her teeth, but this leaves Halsey exposed. A gang of vampires rush her, and Victor snaps into action. He grabs Gwen by the tail and pulls her off Larry, swinging her around in a wide arc that knocks down the vamps. Another vampire comes up behind Victor and bites into him, but then recoils, disgusted by the taste of Victor's poisoned blood. Victor snaps his neck easily and grunts. It's clear, however, that the tide is turning. Gwen and Larry continue to thrash and fight, but they're being overrun. Victor and Halsey stand back to back, him ripping and tearing, her staking and kicking against an ever-growing wall of vampires. In the middle of it all, Dracula and Nick continue fighting. Nick summons a horde of scarab beetles from the cracks in the stone floor, but Dracula destroys them with a wave of the crook. Finally, Dracula gets a grip on Nick's arm and holds him fast, trying to wrench the flail out of his grasp. Nick looks around for help and sees that Victor is closest. "Hey, big guy! I could use some help over here!" Victor rips the throat out of the vampire he's fighting and turns to rush over, but he's too late. Dracula sinks his teeth into Nick's wrist, causing him to scream and drop the flail. All eyes turn to Dracula as he rises with both artifacts in his hands. He crosses them over his chest and looks up to the heavens.
"Osiris, I call on thee."
He begins to recite a spell in Coptic, the same one Van Helsing attempted to cast in the opening scene. They wait and nothing happens. Dracula looks around, repositions, and crosses the artifacts over his chest again.
"Osiris, I call on thee."
Halsey catches Nick's attention. She mouths, "The eyes," pointing at her own to drive the point home. Nick looks at the artifacts and zeroes in on the bulging golden eyes in the center of each of them. He yells to Victor and mimes snapping a stick in two. "Big guy, break them open!" Victor tears the artifacts from the confused Dracula's hands and snaps them over his knee. They break at the eyes, and something pops out and rolls towards Nick. Dracula yells out, but Nick dives and grabs them. What popped out are two soft, mummified eyeballs. Nick holds them in his palms, sort of grossed out, and begins to recite the spell himself. As he speaks, the eyes begin to roll and squirm on their own, turning to look up at him. Bandages suddenly crisscross his palms and his flesh opens up, allowing the eyeballs to sink in and become embedded in his hands. Nick spasms suddenly, possessed. His pupils and irises duplicate in each eye, just as we saw in the first Mummy film, and we see that the same thing happens to the eyes in his palms. 4 identical eyes, each with double irises. He stretches his palms towards Dracula, and Dracula recoils. Nick speaks in a booming, demonic voice.
"Your centuries are up, Dracula. 100 lifetimes spent killing from the shadows because you fear the darkness. Well, we are the darkness. We are Legion, and there will be no more hiding from us."
Dracula cowers, weak to this magic.
"No, I won't go back there. I won't cross that threshold again."
"Not today. Today, we give you a gift. The gift of life."
Bandages unspool from Nick's wrists and begin to wrap themselves around Dracula, slowly mummifying him.
"No, not that! You don't know what you're doing. It's coming for all of us, sooner or later, even yourself. Together we could defeat death for good. You'll regret this. You'll come crawling back to me!"
The bandages wrap around his mouth, silencing him. A blinding yellow light comes from under the bandages, and then they dissolve. Dracula sits up and looks at himself. He's less pale, with color in his cheeks. His fangs are gone. He's human. Nick speaks normally. "Welcome back to the land of the living, Drac." All around the room, the remaining vampires begin to turn to dust, one by one. They howl out in pain, and then they're gone. Gwen and Larry, still wolves, look around in confusion. Nick waves a spell in the air and they revert back to their human forms.
Is that it?
Did we win?
Nick nods, tired and overwhelmed by his power. We won. But it's not over yet. He doubles over in pain, gasping for air.
Nick, are you all right?
Nick looks up at her. The whites of his eyes are now pitch black, and the irises have doubled again, creating 4 of them in each eye. In that same demonic voice, he growls, "No." His body twists and distorts and begins to grow before their eyes. He's turning into the mummy again, but this time 12 feet tall. His skin leathers and rots and falls off of him in chunks. His teeth fall out onto the stone floor. He rears his head back and lets out an ear-shattering scream.
What's happening to him?
Dracula pipes up from where he lies on the ground.
His body is now home to both Set and Osiris. The last time they met, Set dismembered Osiris and scattered his body parts around the world. I don't think they're happy to see each other again.
Nick roars again and points his palms at Gwen, Larry, and Victor, the remaining monsters in the room. All of them fall to their knees as their life forces are sucked into the eyes and the palms of Nick's hands. Their faces age and muscles wither. Halsey looks around and spots the gun that Dracula had made her throw away, the one with 2 quicksilver bullets in it. She dives for it, rolls onto her back, and fires 2 shots. Each of them blasts directly through the eyes in Nick's palms, exploding them into goo. Nick shrinks back down to himself, and the monsters collapse, alive but drained. He checks in with everyone and makes sure they're still alive. Dracula comes over and grovels at his feet, begging Nick to change him back, but Nick says he can't. The power is gone. He looks towards Van Helsing's remains and apologizes that he couldn't save him. The group has a brief debate about what to do with Dracula and decide to just leave him there. Life is prison enough for him. We cut to them driving back to base. Nobody looks happy with their victory. They are tired, traumatized, and morose. Nick looks in the rear view and asks to make sure Jack is back there. Jack replies in a voice unlike anything we've ever heard from him.
Yeah, I'm here.
The next morning at base, Nick enters Halsey's quarters as she's packing her suitcase. You sure I can't convince you to stick around? I could use the help. I think it's time I finally track down a cure for this curse.
I'm sorry, Nick. Carol's still all shaken up, and I think she could use some distance from all this. Hell, I could too. I've been at this game a long time. I think I've earned a break.
Nick nods and gives a pained smile. Yes. Yes, you certainly have. There's the loud bang of a slamming door from the next room, and they hear yelling through the walls.
Look, I said I was sorry, Gwen.
I could have died, Larry.
She was my mother.
To punctuate this last word, there's another bang. Halsey and Nick exchange a glance and follow the voices out into the common area where Carol waits with her things packed. Halsey meets up with her and they share a kiss. Gwen comes bounding into the room.
Hey, I don't mean to be a third wheel, but do you mind if I tag along? At least back to America.
Of course, Gwen.
The 3 of them say their goodbyes. Larry enters and sulks in the corner. As Gwen is collecting the last of her things, Victor approaches her.
I'm grateful to you, Miss Conliffe.
The feeling's mutual. You saved my life.
You spoke to me as a person, an equal. No one's ever done that before. If you desire companionship in your travels, I offer mine, as well as my protection.
That's kind of you, and I'm proud to have helped you find a better path for yourself, but I've got a lot of my own growing to do. I have seen now what I am capable of, good and bad, and it scares me. I think I need to sit in solitude with that fear for a little while.
I can understand that.
Victor offers Gwen a handshake. Gwen accepts it, not even acknowledging the light ooze coating his skin. Before she closes the door behind her, Victor offers the last word.
Gwen?
Gwen looks back.
Do not hide yourself away for too long. It is no way to live.
Don't worry, Vic. You'll see me again.
Outside, the van drives off. Larry steps out and watches it go. Alone, he walks off into the opposite direction, toward the city. In the common room, Nick looks around and sighs. You know, I was kind of hoping we'd come out of this as a team. After losing Vale, Jekyll, I don't think I want to go back to fighting alone. Victor responds bitterly.
We're monsters, Mr. Morton. We are meant to be alone.
And with that, he leaves too. Well, I guess it's just you and me, Jack. Hey, you know what? I think I came up with a team name for us, based on all that stuff I said back when I was Osiris. What do you think about the Dark Legion? Sounds kind of cool, right? Jack? Nick looks around and realizes he is totally alone. He lets out another sigh and walks slowly to his quarters, mumbling to himself about the name. The music begins to bubble underneath as he talks. Breaking news, world saved by the Dark Legion. The Dark Legion defeats Dracula and restores death. The Dark Legion, friends or foes? Dark Legion flakes are a part of this balanced breakfast. The Dark Legion will return in... The music swells under this last part, and then end credits.
Woo!
We did it!
I did not want to interrupt you while you're doing this, especially since I'm thinking about oh, fuck, I'm so excited to score this.
Yes.
Oh, also, before we go any further, everyone listening, wherever you are, please stop and give a round of applause to our incredible voice cast. That's Julian Ames as Larry Talbot,
Yay.
Steph Sallow as Carol Lemley, Geeta Jackson as Count Dracula, Dom Griffin as Victor Frankenstein, Rachel Millman as Gwen Conliffe, Ella Dawson as Jenny Halsey, Joe Stando as Jack Griffin, Nick Miller as Chris Vale, Kate Wardell as Rita Talbot, and Patrick Willems as Van Helsing. We are so grateful to have all of these friends join us in this episode. It really made it feel special. And honestly, it would have been fucking incomprehensible without you lending your voices. Thank you so much for doing this. I really love the way this third act came together.
I think it came together really well.
I think that you did a great job of everybody's story. Everybody has a story in the action of the third act, even if it's kind of small. Like Halsey and Carol have kind of reached where they're at around the midpoint.
Yeah.
Right. And that's fine because we have a lot of characters to get through.
Yeah.
But Larry finds himself, but also finds his limits.
Mm-hmm.
And Gwen does in her own way as well.
Yep.
I remember we talked about it in the planning episode, how I really liked getting the idea of getting Victor and Gwen as somebody who is terribly alone and has really bad family issues, but somebody who really wants to build something.
Yeah.
And the all of the business with Nick and the eyes themselves, great visuals, some terrific violence here. I love the Gwen and Victor fight. It's so rad.
Gwen and Victor fight was very fun to write. I was also super happy when I found the Victor Larry connection,
yes.
The mother connection.
I was thinking that because we've been we needed there to be a spark that we've been seeding that Victor's disgruntled this whole time.
Yeah.
But the idea of, and I think this will particularly play for people who have heard your Frankenstein episode.
Yes, this will
the
only
mommy
make sense
issues
really.
thing.
The mommy issues stuff. Yeah.
It's really, there's a lot of these moments here where I think about what the theatrical experience would be if you've been watching these movies for years and you're building up to where they're all going to come together, and this those really cool, satisfying beats of long-term character catharsis. And that's the biggest one for me is Victor just being sees a shitty mom and it's just nope.
Well, and it worked out on many levels because we had talked about Rita dying. And we were like, is Larry going to have to kill her? We need to resolve the Larry-Rita thing in the third act. And we were like, How do we do this? Does Gwen kill her? Does Larry kill her?
But having Victor do it, it's a lot more economical because now we don't have to deal with the separate fallout from Rita's death and everything else.
Well, but
you also create the new kind of wedge between, you have the opportunity here to create a problem that separates Gwen and Larry.
Exactly.
Because he wouldn't kill his mother for her.
We wanted them to end in a breakup, and we needed something that pushes them over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really wanted to, first of all, I wanted to have them not be fighting just before that. And so I wanted to give them the line about we're going to make out so hard. We're going to go fuck. They're still doing their yes, we fight, but yes, we're horny for each other and back and forth. But then Larry can't save her. He chooses his mom over his girlfriend, essentially.
Yeah. And it's the kind of thing where it's a terrible choice.
Yeah.
And
it's an impossible choice.
They're both allowed to be mad.
Yeah.
Right. If there's one problem I have with kind of and Larry, this version of Larry Talbot is I kind of built him for the previous Wolfman movie and I carried through a lot of his stuff in this one. He does kind of suck. And I think that would make it a lot easier. We've cast Mason Gooding as the actor to play him in the films, and he's a very, very likable guy.
He's
and
a
I
very
think
charming guy. Yeah.
I think that hopefully would make up the difference in performance. Just he's like he's so cute, he's so effortless in his like sort of boyish charisma.
Yeah.
On the page, he's just the fucking worst.
But it's so understandable that he wouldn't kill his mother.
Of course, it's still his mother. Like she's a
not
vampire.
A villainous move.
Yeah,
you know.
And she's like, we've done nothing so far in our mythology to establish that becoming a vampire changes who you are.
Right.
It's more like we equated a lot to wealth, right? In our storytelling, and the idea being like, no, you become more evil from. Usually it's involved in the means of how you acquire your fabulous wealth, right? Yeah. And that hardens you against compassion. So she became this powerful person through rising up in the, through this association with this vampire organization.
Yeah.
So once she has to become a vampire, other than the fact that she drinks human blood now, not that much change. Yeah, she still loves her son, but she's still basically willing to do whatever to secure her power, and that includes her son's safety. So, but it's still her, right? It's still the woman who raised him. So he does not want to. No one can be that mad at him for that. But also, if you're in a relationship and you know that you can't count on this person to put you first, and you're frequently in life and death situations, I think that was a really good way to leave their character here. I was really happy to read that. I think it worked great.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, and you did write some parts in here, like you wrote the final Gwen and Victor conversation, because I had just had put in a line like, they say they'll see each other again or something like that. Right. And you fleshed it out.
What had happened is over the course of our writing, it seemed like the Frankenstein scenes, like as you've all heard, listeners, because this is just a script meant and we want to keep it as economical and fun for you to listen to, we don't write out every single scene. Yeah. Also, we did it in 2 weeks. So, but some scenes we just summarize, and it seems when we go back through the first finished draft, that the character that was getting the most shortchanged in terms of most of his scenes being summarized was Victor. Yeah. And so I went back and I wrote went back and wrote the scene where Frankenstein meets Dracula. And then I added a thing at the end with Gwen to try and tie things up. But it was all, built off of what we'd written in our summaries. So it was just fun dialogue. I love writing dialogue. So
yeah. And you're very good at it.
Thank you.
I tried my best with that final fight with like, it's the kind of thing that really needs to be visual. Here's the other thing. James Wan would kill that fight.
Oh, it would be so cool.
I wouldn't actually need to write anything for James Wan. I would just have to be like, all right, there's 2 werewolves, a Frankenstein, and a monster hunter. Let him go wild,
but
and he would figure it out.
You've given him so many specific ideas about how the fight's going to go.
Yeah.
And I know that some of that is just, okay, we're writing this for radio. And we want to make sure we can put images in there. Like I kind of hope people experience this stuff very much like they do an audiobook. And like between, when we're doing reading sections, they can kind of switch the part of their brain that like does like audiobooks and narrative stuff, right? Yeah. But those specifics, like all the really cool, I go back to the Gwen and Victor fight. So many really cool, gnarly details are specific to what these characters can and can't do. It's really neat. And, I like that between all of the action sequences that you and I wrote, there's not a lot of, they each have their own gimmicks. I love the sort of waves of constantly transforming clouds of vampires and bats and stuff. I think like it feels like the climax of a big action blockbuster, of like a fantasy blockbuster. And gosh, I would love to see it on screen.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I would love to see all these movies.
And they will, because when we're finished with our Infinity Saga, Universal is totally and absolutely for real going to buy it from us.
You just have to wait until the podcast concludes, and then you can see this movie in theaters. One thing we did not write out were post-credit scenes.
That's true, because we haven't locked in exactly what we're going to do with Phase 2.
Yeah,
but if you recall, when the original Avengers movie came out,
it was just the
only
shawarma
post-credit scene is the shawarma scene, which they shot after the premiere of the movie, because I think somebody thought, wouldn't it be funny? And then they were like, okay, can everybody get together like tomorrow night and do this? I mean, I don't think that's really, they probably exaggerated that story because that's not how movies work. But so we don't have to, the only thing like the mid-credits, we need like an equivalent to the mid-credits in Avengers where they say, where they say that, someone says to Thanos, to go against the Avengers is to court death. Thanos smiles, and then they kind of pivot away from that idea in the future.
Yeah. Here's one thing we could do. We could actually end the movie on the line where Monsters, Mr. Morton, we are meant to be alone, and end the movie and go to credits, and then have a mid-credit scene where he's like, so Jack, I came up with a team name, and then, because that's like definitely lighter in tone.
It's lighter, but I also imagine that like, obviously in the format that we're doing it is different, but like he's walking away from the camera and we're hearing it echo and we're losing what he's saying as the score is picking up.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm going to try to approximate when I score the episode.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that it's tough because we don't like to talk too much off the air about the creative process of the show.
Mm-hmm.
With the exception of we don't like to spoil the handful of things that we came up with for way later.
Yeah.
And since we're now talking about building this as act 1 of our, 3-phase Infinity Saga equivalent, which we do kind of have a name for, but we're not telling. It's one I think we have to kind of just maybe say, what?
I got it.
You've got it?
I got it. I think I have our post-credit scene.
Okay. Pitch it to me.
Full credit roll, not a mid-credit. Full credit roll. The screen is black. Very slowly, we fade in on that opening shot of the door.
I knew it was going to be the fucking door. Okay.
Of the door that's not attached to any walls. It's in the deserted desert, deserted desert. It's in the desert. That's how a lot of the screenplay, by the way, if I did another draft, I have so many like repeated words.
I had that too.
Awkward. We would
there were a couple times where I stopped the recording and asked Dalton to change the wording to something that I needed to go over again.
It's definitely, we wrote this in 2 weeks.
But, okay, so we've got the door.
So we fade very slowly in on the door. Thunder and lightning is going on, and the knob turns. The end.
Cuts black. Yeah, that's perfect. I was going to say, and maybe it opens a crack.
Yeah, but it could open a crack. Some light creeps. Some like red light, and you know what? You hear screams.
Okay.
You hear like thousands of screams of tortured people on the other side, and it's just that crack open of the door. I feel like that's all we need.
Yes. That's good. That keeps things very vague, and we're not going to follow up on that for a while.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that feels right.
And we've had the whole movie of Dracula warning something is coming.
Yeah.
Something is coming that we can't handle. And so now we see like, oh, that is about to happen.
And I also like that you've gone all the way back to that image that we opened in the movie that we don't return to during the movie. That feels better. I like that.
You know what it should actually be though? Because if the door opens a crack, there's no reason it wouldn't open the full amount, right? And the thing would come through and we'd have to
maybe the door's just kind of rattling?
I think the doorknob starts rattling, like someone trying to get out on the other side, and it's just rattling, and the screams start to swell, like they're getting louder and louder, and then you hear someone pounding on the door. I
like that.
Someone pounding on the other side.
Screeching strings cut to black.
Yeah. So just like something desperately trying to get out as the screams get louder.
That sounds good to me.
Appropriately creepy and teasing,
and extremely vague.
Yes, and I think a good little stinger.
Cool. All right. Well, are we ready to go into picture lock?
Oh, I completely forgot it's picture lock time. So I think it is. Where are our heroes now? What threads do we have to pick up on in phase 2?
Okay. So to begin with, the Dark Legion, as we've now kind of decided to name them, because we did want to give this series of films a title that they would share, is sort of no more, and it's just Nick Morton, the Mummy, in his in the base in Transylvania, and so we've left him there. He said that he wants to go back and start looking for a cure again to the curse,
which is where we left him at the end of The Mummy.
Yes, but that's okay because now somebody can watch The Mummy and then watch whatever we have planned next for Nick and not necessarily have to do all of them.
That's true.
That's something that I can appreciate sometimes about the grand scheme of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is you can just watch the Thor movies, kind of.
Right.
You can watch the Thor movies. You have to watch the first Avengers movie too. You know how it is. Like these series can mostly be watched by themselves plus like the big event thing. So that works. So that's that. Dracula is now a mortal man.
He's just a guy. He's just a rich guy.
I'm excited to follow up on that. The Invisible Man, Jack Griffin, is alive, but depressed and missing.
He is traumatized and MIA. We talked about this last episode. I don't need to repeat it, but we took him from the comedy character to extremely traumatized and just who knows where he is. So he is MIA.
Our wolf couple has broken up.
Mm-hmm.
Gwen's headed back to the States. Larry has wandered into Cluj-Napoca, which I really hope we've been saying right. I forgot to look up the pronunciation. If anybody's listening in Romania, I'm so sorry. Also Egypt. I did my best not to specifically to get too specific about anything Egyptian related because I did not have time to study all that stuff. So they're split up and they're going to separate places right now. We don't know exactly where they're headed.
Jekyll is dead.
Jekyll is all the way dead.
No Jekyll Hyde 2.
Yep. And Carol and Halsey are driving off together to do something, hopefully take a nice vacation.
Yes, they're going to go be in love somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really glad we put them together. I love them as a couple.
That was a good idea. It was nice to be like, that was the one thing, one of the late additions was like, we need more scenes of the two of them together.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
So that's nice. And we can pick them up in the future as we please.
Yeah.
I like that and Victor Frankenstein has wandered off as well. We don't know what he's up to.
I feel like Halsey and Carol are a good candidate for our Dark Universe Plus spin-off streamer series.
Yeah.
Give them a little paranormal hunters, ghost hunters kind of show.
Yeah, and we can have them team up with Gabby and Teresa from the investigator and lawyer from...
Oh, that's true.
I might want to pick them up at some point. I killed a lot of my original characters.
That's good. That's what we were going to do.
Of course, yeah. But I mean, that means the ones that I have left are potentially precious, right? Every character we've killed off so far, except for Dudley, has been one that I introduced. We've got no more Chip Lester. We've got no more Rita Talbot. Jekyll was not my invention, but I did carry him forward.
Technically, the whole cast of Frankenstein is dead.
Yeah, it's just because of time.
Yeah, because it took place in 1831. So Vale is dead, Jekyll is dead. So we've killed off some of our original Mummy.
That's true. And
members.
I'm glad that we brought back Vale, if only because I had a lot of fun writing Vale, and I liked the idea of he seemed tailor-made to be a guy we'd kill.
Yeah, definitely. But he was fun in the scenes that he was in. So yeah, everyone's kind of is a bummer and has gone their separate ways. Meanwhile, whatever is coming through hell still hasn't been dealt with. Our characters are fully separated from Prodigium now.
Mm-hmm.
And now we kind of have a blank slate going forward. So
yeah, it's the Wild West for us now.
I think we can call this a picture lock.
All right, lock it in.
It's alive! In the name of God! Now I know what it feels like to be God!
That is a picture lock, not just on this movie, but on the entire phase 1 of the Dark Universe.
All right.
6 films.
Hot damn. I can't believe we did this.
Can't believe it. So next episode, we're going to take a little break for the holidays. When we come back, we're going to reflect on phase 1. We're going to take some distance, come back. We're going to revisit some thoughts from our first episode and see how well we stuck to them.
What did we do that we said we weren't that worked, and vice versa. And then we're going to start plotting out the shape of phase 2.
Yeah.
Decide what our slate's going to be. We'll do our big Comic-Con Hall H panel. Mm-hmm. And we'll reveal them one by one with their release dates.
And starting with phase 2, we are going to start having guests on the program. We're going to alternate episodes with guests pitching us new ideas, starting with games critic Giovanni Colantonio, who is going to pitch us the video game tie-in for the Dark Universe. He said he's got a lot of ideas, and we can't wait to hear them. So there will be an episode about that as well. So thank you very much for listening. We hope you enjoyed the Dark Legion House of Dracula. And until phase 2, stay afraid of the Dark Universe. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Yes, well. Yeah, I think I kind of liked it. Anyway, I'll see you all next time. See ya!